Hello, welcome to our webinar. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're glad you joined us for this very exciting topic. It's an emerging topic that's really gaining traction called Innovation Ops. And we're going to talk about what that is. And we have a series planned for you. My name is Paul Heller. I'm the Chief Evangelist of Sophion, and it is my pleasure to be your host through these different series that we're having here. And we're going to begin today with what is Innovation Ops and why is it important? And then we're going to go through different aspects of Innovation Ops and take you through how what the key aspects of those are. And we'll end with a webinar where we talk about how do you do innovation at scale. So keep your eyes tuned for all the webinars. I'd like to introduce, gives me great pleasure, our speaker today, Mike Bauer. So Mike is the Chief Product Officer at Sophion, and he has 30 years of experience across hardware, software, services, startups, established companies. His depth and knowledge of product management is extremely deep, and he's now leads Sophion's team in product management, design, and product marketing. And he's responsible for all of the Sophion products, but he's also at the heart of thought leadership, and his team has been formulating exactly what is Innovation Ops and what does that mean to our company, as well as talking to companies out there as well. So Mike, welcome to the webinar. I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. And, I'm not sure I'm a thought leader, but I appreciate it. For those that haven't checked out Paul's weekly podcast, please do, because that's where the real thought leaders hang out and talk. So I have this is going to be a lot of fun. This is something we've been researching. This is also a lot of information coming back to Sophion from the market. So we're really excited to share this. And it isn't just something we're seeing. It's being talked about in the industry. It's a different way of thinking. And it kind of comes down to how do people working and trying to innovate at scale. And what do we mean by scale? It means predictable, reliable, efficient. And probably the biggest piece of that is the predictable. There's a lot of one-hit wonders out there. Trust me, I've done a few of my own. But, doing it again and again is really what innovation at scale is. And so if you start with how much money gets spent on innovation or R&D, last year alone, it was about $2.4 trillion worldwide is spent on R&D. That's a humongous number. That's bigger than pretty much every economy in the world. That's a lot. And what are we getting out of it? Well, the first thing is McKinsey's reporting that 90% of executives are unhappy with their innovation performance. Wow, a lot of money for a lot of unhappy executives. And those that are executives in the audience, you're probably hopefully nodding your head up or down, or maybe you're going, well, I'm one of the 10% that's happy, which is great. If you're part of the organization, that's what the executives are telling McKinsey. The other part of this is if you look at PDMA, and the research they do year over year, and then they report on it every so often, about 35 to 50% of those innovations or new products that are driving a lot of those innovations fail. And the numbers are higher in different markets, but the average is somewhere between 35 and 50, and it's been consistent for decades. That means roughly $1 trillion is wasted in failures. And I'm not talking about failures of you fail forward fast, you fail quickly, you experiment type of failures. This is you go all the way to the end and it's the product or innovation fails in the marketplace. That's the failures that hurt. And that is really what people are struggling with and are trying to understand of how to do innovation better at scale. So why is this difficult? We talk about innovation all the time. There's press articles and everything all over the place constantly about innovation. It isn't just one realm. Well, I kind of liken it down to one word: chaos. And what do we mean by chaos? If you look at most organizations that are struggling with the innovation, you get a very disconnected, unreliable, and inefficient system. In this kind of spaghetti maze of what we're showing on the screen is just a brief representation of different processes, different strategies. Different organizations think they own different pieces and are misaligned. Different parts of the organization aren't really thinking innovation and are working with the others. A lot of throwing things over the wall. We're also seeing limited governance of how do you govern that process from start to finish. And when I'm talking innovation, it could be an incremental, new feature, new piece of process, something incremental, all the way up to radical innovation. That part of, I think, what we think is part of the problem is thinking about different ways are different somehow just because it's, quote, a radical innovation. The scale changes, the dollars invested and the opportunity are different, but how you get to the end is still the same basic processes and jobs. The last piece is that we see even today, after hundreds of customer interviews, day in and day out, that a lot of there is no specific set of tooling available. So people are still generally using, Microsoft Office, Google Docs, pieces and parts of other applications that aren't purpose-built for innovation. And finally, you see this strategy is not driving the execution. And we see that again and again. So that's what's making it difficult and partly responsible for driving that 35 to 50% of failures. So how do we control that chaos? How do we get control of that complexity, regardless of the size of the organization?